Udah.
Okay, good morning, everyone. Today we are from Group 3 in Quantitative Research in ELT. Today we are about to present our presentations under the title Analyzing and Interpreting Quantitative Data. We are from Group 3 consist of me, Nandatul Faradila, Nurbaiti, and also Gesna Fitri. So everyone, let's get started. Next, please. After we found the phenomena that we are going to do the research, and we find a topic, and also we formulate the research questions and also hypotheses, we gather the data or we collect the data using some instruments like interview, like questionnaires to the participants or subject of the research. Um, but so after we collect the data, we are jump into the step, namely um, analyzes the data that we have been gathered. But before we analyze the data, we have to bear in mind or have some questions in mind, like how will we organize the data before we analyze it? Second, what questions will we hope to answer from the data analysis from the data? And then the third, how will we present the results? Uh, we, uh, we will we present it in figures or diagrams or tables? And next, how will we interpret the results in from that data analysis? Um, uh, Previous slide, please. Okay. Here are the steps in the process. Here are the steps in the process of data analysis. The first step is preparing the data for analysis. Preparing the data for analysis here, it includes of assign numeric score, assessing the types of score to use, selecting the program like maybe SPSS or etc., and then inputting the data into the program. And the last is cleaning up the database. Maybe we have the missing data of the when we collect the data. And second, the second step is we begin data analysis. Beginning the data analysis here. The process is like the process start with doing the descriptive analysis. And the next step is reporting the results. So after we preparing the data for analysis, we begin the data analysis, and next step is we reporting the result. Reporting the result, we can use figures or diagrams or discussion of the two results. It depends on us as the researcher what in what form we want to report our result that make the reader will be easier to understand the results of our study. It could be tables, figures, or diagrams. Finally, after we report the results, we have to interpret the results. Interpret the results here. We compare our study results with the previous study, with the results of the previous study. And also here we also we advance also we also advancing we also advancing for the further researcher related to our research. Next slide, please. Okay, let's discuss the first step of data analysis. The first is preparing the data. In preparing and organizing data for analysis in quantitative research, it consists of the first is scoring the data and keeping a codebook. Scoring the data here, I will directly go to the example. The example, maybe the instruments we use a questionnaire that will distribute it to the participants of our study. In the questionnaires, there are some statements. It could be positive statements or negative statements. And we need our respondent to rate each of items or statements that are written in the questionnaires. In every statement, there are numeric value. For example, start from 5 to 1. 5 is the highest numeric value for strongly agree with the numeric value 5, and then agree not decided 3, and then disagree 2, and strongly disagree 1. So the range of the numeric value could be start from 5 to 1. 5 for the highest score and 1 for the lowest score. This is to make us as the researcher too easier for inputting the data later. Next, creating a codebook. Creating a codebook here, we make the variables of our research become simple to be understood. For example, we can use for the keywords in our research, we can use a codebook to namely those variables. For example, like before, I use the number 5 until 1 to the numeric scores chosen by the participants in every statement in the questionnaires. And then my participants consists of two types, I mean male and female. I will use a code 1 for male and 2 for female. And maybe I gather the data in the classroom. In senior high school students, they are from grade 10, 11, and 12. So I will use a code book 10 for the 10 grade students, 11 for 11 grade students, and a code book 12 for grade 12 students. So 10, 11, 12 is related to the grade of the students that become my participants of the research. Next, number 2, determining the type of score to use, single item score, sum score, or difference score. The first is single item score. Single item score is like what I've been explained before. They use number range 5 to 1 for each item. Next, sum score. Sum scores means here we total the score of each statement or each item per categories. For example, I have a questionnaire that consists of seven categories, and every category has 5 items or 5 statements. So in sum score, it is the total of each categories. The total of each category based on what the participant choose. For example, the categories A consists of 5 items, and the sum score for the subject A is 20 because she or he rate 5 or strongly agree for every item or every statement. And then the difference score. The difference score here is often used by the experimental research, where we have the treatment 1, the treatment 2 in the classroom. So the difference score here is the difference score from the last treatment with the recent treatment. For example, the first treatment, the subject A got the score 10, and then for the next or the second treatment, the subject A got the score 15. So the difference score for subject A is plus 5. Thus, 10 for the first treatment and 15 for the second treatment. So the difference is plus 5. After determining the type of score, single item score, sum score, or difference score, we can select a computer program. Here, the program that we can use for analyze our data, a program that can help us to analyze the data easier. We can use the example of the program that we can use is SPSS. SPSS is popular among the quantitative researcher because it is not too difficult to be used. And if we found some trouble or we found some difficulties in using that program, we can ask for help to our advisor or the other researchers that have ever used that program. And then we inputting the data. After select a computer program that will fit to our purpose or will fit to our study, our research, we inputting the data to the program. Inputting the data to the program, like we inputting the rate on the or the answer or the response of the subjects with their answer toward the question that we spread to them. And next, after inputting the data, we clearing the data. Clearing the data here uh, in administering the questionnaire to the subject. Not it's sometimes from the whole questionnaire, the total questionnaire that we distributed to the participants, not all of them return it. So we got the missing data for our research. So to handle or to overcome this problem, it is not. I mean, it is okay to be honest, to be honest in our research that has become our limitation of the research. We can say that from the 200 students that I distribute the questionnaires, only only 180 students that return the questionnaire. So we can eliminate the 20 subjects that didn't return the the questionnaire that we have to distribute. So if we have the missing data, we don't have to force to put their names to be still to still be our subject. We have to be honest about the total of respondents that give us the the true data. I mean the subject that um, giving us the missing data, we don't have to put their name on our subject because it will make our result not valid. Okay, next presentations will be presented by my friend. Okay, time is yours, Nurbaiti.
Okay, I'm Nurbaiti and I will continue present our PowerPoint. And the next subtopic is about, okay, next subtopic is about how do you analyze the data. Okay, after we collect the data, of course, we should analyze the data, which is to address one of our research question or hypothesis. And in quantitative research, there are two ways and how to analyze the data. The first one is conduct descriptive analysis. In quantitative research hypothesis, actually we study only an individual sample from a population, but in descriptive analysis, we just use um, a single variable one at a time. Uh, when we want to conduct descriptive analysis, actually we should choose a descriptive task, and it will help us to summarize the overall the data, and then it will also provide the information about that, how varied the score, and also where the score stands in comparison with others data. And actually, in descriptive analysis, there are three statistic procedures that can be used by us. The first one is also, the first one is measures of um, central tendency, which is, it means it will help us to summarize that represent a single value in a distribution of score. And after that, the second one is measure of variability. The variability will help us to indicate the spread of the scores in a distribution, which is the information will help us to see how dispersed the responses are to the items on an instrument. And the last one is measure of relative standing, which is, it is statistic that describe one score relative to a group scores. And the second way that how to analyze the data, it is conduct invariant analysis. Okay, actually, conduct invariant analysis. We, as a researcher, if we want to make a research, if we want to make a research and if we want to compare a group, and also when we want to relate two variables, we should use this type of analysis, because we look at the number, and also like we look at the number and also the scores from the sample, and use the result to draw invariance and to predict to make the predictions about the population. And actually there are three important points in invariant analysis. The first one is hypothesizing, and also there are 5 steps in it. The first one is identify a null and alternative hypothesis. Identify a null hypothesis, there is no difference between two things. It is the definitions about a null hypothesis. And alternative hypothesis, it is there is a difference between two things. After we as a researchers identified our hypothesis, we should set the level of significance. It will help us to reject the null hypothesis in our research. And after that, we collect the data, we code all the data, and after that, we input it into the computer, and it will help us do the next steps, which is compute the sample statistic, which is uh, already explained by our friend, which is it will be used a computer program to compute a statistic value and determine if it falls inside or outside of critical region. And after that, we can make a decision about reject or, and after that, it is just like a conclusion if there is between or there is difference or not between the two things. After the hypothesis testing, we will check again. Actually, we just to recheck that there is error or not in our incomes. It is the next step. It is potential errors in outcomes. And after that, we can go to the last one. It is estimating using confidence interval, which is the range of upper of lower statistical values that are consistent with observed of the data. Okay, that's all for my explanation. The next topic will be continued by our friend Gesna. Time is yours.
Hello, my friend. Please turn on your microphone.
Oh, okay, sorry. Previous, Mbak. My name is Gesna Fitri, and I will continue our presentation. Sis, previous, please. How do you report a result? How do you report a result? There are 3 for report a result. A result section includes the first tables. A table is a summary of quantitative data organized into rows and columns. Tables that summarize statistical information. There are some guidelines for creating tables. The first, although you can present multiple statistical tests in one table, a general guideline is to present one table for each statistical test. And the second is readers should be able to grasp easily the meaning of the table. And the third is it is important to know the level of the statistical detail for descriptive and inferential statistical to report tables. And the last is authors typically report, not qualify, explain, or provide additional information in the tables. And the second is figures. Figures as present as a chart, picture, and drawing that portray variables and their relationship. And for good figures, there are, there are a six design. The first is augments rather than duplicates the text. And the second is conveys only essential facts. And the next is omit visually distracting detail. And the next is easy to read and understand. And the next is consistent with and is prepared in the same style as similar figures and the same articles. And the last is carefully planned and prepared. There are the figures have two types. The first is bar charts. Bar chart explain about depict trends and distributions of data. And the second is line graphs. Line graphs display the interaction between two variables in an experience. And the third is present results. Present results is detailed explanation about statistical results. Uh, there are three minimum form representations information. The first, report whether the hypothesis test was significant or not. The second is provide important information about the statistical test given the statistic. And the last is include language typically used in reporting statistical results. And the next, how do you interpret the results? How next is how do you interpret the results? There are four to interpret the results. The first, summarize the major results. A summary is a statement that reveals the major conclusion to each of the research question or hypothesis. And the second is explain why the result occurred. The This explanation is based on returning to prediction made from a theory or conceptual framework uh, that guide the development of research question or hypothesis. And the third is advanced limitation. Limitation or potential weakness or problem with the study identified by researcher. And the last is suggest future research. Future research, the diversion are suggestion made by the researcher about additional studies that need to be conducted based on the result of the present research. I think that's all. Uh, my our presentation, and thank you.
Okay, everyone, that's all our presentation for today. Thank you so much from VR Group 3. Thank you.
Oke. Udah, Pak.
Thank you so much. Hope you like it.